Hi, everyone. Today I'm going to be answering a question proposed by Cheyenne. Cheyenne, thank you for your question. She asks, do you have a special time to write? Or how is your day structured around writing? Okay, well, to be honest, because our business is so multifaceted and our home life is so busy, I find that it's necessary to schedule time to write, whether I'm writing books or articles for a project, promotional project, or for because I've been assigned that article or project, or if it's something that I'm doing for enjoyable, creative purposes. I have to schedule that time. I have to take that time out of the office, book it in my day timer, and focus that time on there. Sadly, because writing creatively is an art, and so because of that, you're gonna have to feel it. You gotta be in the mood to be creative and to write in a creative way. And you aren't always in that mode. And so if I've scheduled that time off, I like to give myself a bit of a buffer there. What if that afternoon I'm really not feeling it, but the next day I am? So I try to give myself a little bit of extra time in that schedule. Now, how is my day scheduled? Well, much of the time is spent maintaining our two different blogs and our YouTube channel. Those are the social media outlets that we currently are utilizing, our two blogs and the YouTube channel. So they take quite a bit of time to create the content, writing the posts and maintaining the behind the scenes activities and creating content, publishing it, promoting it, all of that does take time. And then there's the social networking site activities. I try to appear on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Alignable at least once every single day, often numerous times throughout the day. Sometimes I'm not there every day, but I try to be there every single day. Then there is working on, following up on future marketing opportunities, promotional opportunities, researching them, doing, the behind the scenes activities prior to querying them, sending out the queries, maintaining that. There's the managing of the ads, advertisings, and promotional activities like posters and flyers and bookmarks and all of these types of things. Participating in interviews on a regular basis, usually anywhere between one interview all the way up to between 1 and 6 interviews a week. I try to keep it to no more than 4 interviews a week. But it slows down in the summer. Summer, I don't do as many interviews. That picks up again in the fall through spring. That's because I have of my personal schedule, not because the gigs aren't there. The gigs are there. My schedule doesn't allow for that to happen during that time frame. I'm often handling all kinds of networking activities every day. Communications are flowing in and out, typically 60 emails a day I have to work with, and a variety of other activities like record keeping, um, all of that kind of thing. I tend to write more productively in the winter simply because there's no gardens to plant or maintain, no harvests, garden harvest to process. Most of the deep cleaning chores are already done. There's no yard to maintain. Uh, the teaching services through the studio, they peak between October and May. And then drum percussion repairs, they tend to peak in October and then again in January. And then performances and uh, public or private workshops, drum and percussion workshops, those tend to increase in the summer. And so while Dave's dealing with those activities, I'm behind the scenes helping him in any way I can, whether it's making sure he's fed and he has refreshments, or the people that are coming through the home or the office or the studio or what have you have refreshments, that I'm helping him, pack up his equipment or unpack his equipment, whatever the case might be. Wherever the activities are, I'm behind the scenes managing that, office activities, emails, scheduling appointments, all of that kind of stuff is happening during the day. So, as you can see, there's a lot of different activities at different times of the year that ebb and flow. And so I have to work with that, within that, and then find these stolen moments to write creatively. Sometimes I have a spontaneous moment, like when it comes to poetry, poetry is completely spontaneous for me. And I delve into deep emotional stuff. And so, when it hits me hard and it takes precedence over everything, um, except appointments, scheduled appointments. So, currently we have a trilogy coming out this summer, probably late summer of 2023 that we're working on. And that's really absorbing a lot of our time in between all of these ongoing activities that I just talked about. Coming up in a year or two after that, we have another book that's behind the scenes being worked on as we can find those stolen moments to work on it. That's a backyard garden guidebook that we're working on. Um, in between that, again, I'm trying to find stolen moments to write poetry, to delve into creative writing. I have a few short stories that I keep trying to find time to get back to when inspiration strikes and I have that stolen moment to get back to them. I'm aching to write all the time. Unfortunately, as a writer, 90% of your work is really doing other things other than writing. And that can be really hard to take because it's all we want to do is write. But in reality, it's a career. And, we're running this business and we have to do the marketing and we're doing the promotional activities and media appearances and, in-person events and, you know, working with nonprofits and fundraisers and events all the time, every day, every week, something is going on in that regard. So finding that tender balance of writing for pleasure and enjoyment, writing for purpose and passion, writing in such a way that you're making a difference in the world at the same time as having a career as a writer. It's a tender balance. And you're right, it is pretty difficult to schedule in that special time to write. Cheyenne, I loved your question. I think it really helped us um, share the life of the writer, what what they really go through as a writer, and how hard it is to find those stolen moments to enjoy writing again, to get that uh, the, to hit that pleasure button, because so often we're writing for purpose or passion, or we're driven by seeking, uh, uh, improvements to our budget, or other means of writing, other purpose, other mission behind the writing, other than writing creatively for the pleasure, for the passion of it. And so, yes, it's so important to add that in. One thing I also didn't mention is the education side of writing. There are times when we need to enter into groups and join festivals and webinars and, um, writing prompt groups, maybe get a writer's coach happening, different aspects, times in our lives to help us with developing that passion for writing again, helping us get out of the rut that we might be in. Sometimes we uh, develop a system, and that system gets ridden hard for a really long time, but then it becomes old and redundant and boring, and we need to find a new way of bringing life back into our career. And so we have to find time for that too. I loved your question, Cheyenne. Thank you for that. Thank you very much for that. I hope everyone else enjoyed the question too. I'd love to hear our listeners, our viewers' feedback, your comments here. I would love to hear that. You can reach out to me directly behind the scenes, message me on social networking sites as well, but you can always leave a comment here and create some, public dialogue on this topic as well. Thank you everyone for joining us today on the Brummet Media channel. Be sure to like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Thanks again.